Hi there. I want to do a quick walkthrough on this Jeep here, 2008 Jeep Grand Cherokee, diesel CRD, and replacing the starter. So I had to replace the starter on it, and I looked for videos and really couldn't find anything. And I looked for any sort of description I could get and didn't get much. So I struggled a lot more than I had to. And a bunch of guys said, just take it into the shop and have the shop do it. So I'm going to do a short video. If you've got to replace the starter on your Jeep, I'll tell you what I did, and hopefully it'll help you and save you some money. The starter itself, here's the battery. Hard to do this. And the fuses up here. The starter is down in there. Which is an absolute pain in the neck, and when you've got a decent size arm, it's hard to get your arm down there. So what I did, along with my son who's in his early 20s, we ended up taking out the battery and the plate under the battery. There's a couple of screws, you take that out, and then there's the computer underneath that, and it's just a couple of clips, which are really easy to undo. It's just a little lock type thing, and then the whole plug comes out. And then we went up to the fuse boxes here, disconnected the wires, so the battery wires and the wires here and up here. And then there's a couple of bolts in here, all right, about 3 or 4. Really not hard. I loosened them off, and then these boxes came back a bit without taking out many wires at all. All we did is connect this one here, and this here. There's a couple of bolts. Okay, just those 2 bolts there needed undone, and here, just one. And that gave me enough room to take my hand down into here, and inside there's a bunch of bolts. And if you look down here for a size, it's this bolt here is the exact size we want. Same with here, this one here. So if you can get your socket on here tight, you want that. So from there, I've got enough room to reach my arm down, and there's 4 of these here bolts that hold the engine mount on, and there's 1 other bolt that goes through it, and pretty much impossible to see what you're doing. So once this stuff is loose and you're able to get your arm down there, we jacked up the vehicle with a couple of jack stands to support it, took the front wheels off the ground, and you also have to take, we just used a normal car jack, and we lifted the engine, took sort of the pressure, put it onto a stand, just with the oil pan. So carefully did that, and from there we went under the vehicle, and I won't even show it to you because you really don't see anything. We went under from the side, and you can feel the starter when you look up. It's in behind the front tire here, and you reach up and in, and there's, what a dirty vehicle. Just 2 bolts that hold the starter, and they're coming forward this way, and really easy to undo, and that sort of loosens the starter. And from there, the starter goes in behind the engine mount, so if you undo the starter, you won't be able to get it out because the engine mount is in the way. So what you do with the jack holding the engine, you actually have to undo the 4 bolts that go into the block, and I ended up feeling mine from the top. One of them I was able to do from underneath, and 3 from up top. So you reach your hand down and you can sort of feel the bracket. I was elbow deep to get down to it, and I had to use a bunch of different extensions, and the last one near the back here, I actually ended up using a 1/2-inch breaker bar that's 24 inches long, just to sort of crack it. And once they've been cracked, they're pretty much finger tight, and you just use a small ratchet to get those bolts off. Once you've done that, the bottom of the engine bracket has a decent sized bolt. You just need to loosen it, and once you've loosened it and undone the 4 bolts, make sure that you get all 4, the engine bracket will just sort of fold away towards front wheel and give you enough room to get the starter out. Once the starter's out, this is where I got into the 2-man thing. I went under the Jeep and I passed the starter up to my son, who was up here. So he had to reach down and in, and I pushed it up, and the wires are long enough that you didn't even need to undo the wires. I got the wires up, undid them, and put the new starter on the wires, and then fed it back down, and putting it back together was really, really easy. Yeah, so it was probably a good couple of hours really to figure out what to do. And now if we had to do it again, it'd be about an hour from start to finish. Really not that big a deal to do the starter. Anyways, yeah, just sort of keep stuff organized. Very few tools to do it, and the Jeep's been running fine ever since. Yeah. Anyways, hope you have fun with it. Once again, this is a 2008 Jeep Grand Cherokee, 3-liter CRD diesel. And yeah, if you have to do your starter, have fun with it. Way easier with 2 people. Okay, thanks very much.